Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our SSC CHSL 2018 Refresher Series. And this session is for the English language. I do want to apologize for the technical glitch that we had, but I do appreciate all of you holding on a tad late, right? We've been having these sessions. We started this, 2 weeks back? We've covered almost 8 sessions, right? 1 on English, 1 on quant, 2 on English, 2 on quant, 2 on reasoning, and then 2 on general awareness. And I'm sure you guys are learning a lot from these sessions, and that's the objective of these sessions, so you become confident and, you have no problem taking the exam. And most of you are coming back and asking, is this useful for bank exams? Of course it is. Why would you even ask a question like that, right? Any sort of learning where you either expanding your vocabulary or you're learning new techniques to approach question types that you will encounter in, not verbal, aptitude exams in general is always useful, don't you think? I really want to appreciate those of you who are taking the time and being a part of these sessions, because I know that you're learning quite a bit. So let me quickly, somebody was saying Entasepo. We just started. So who's here? Rajashekar, Kumar, Aditya, Shriram. Oops. Shriram, Saha, Neelab, okay. Mahata, Sajid, VK. Who's VK? Expand your initial. Darshini, unless you don't want to. Chandrahas, Rama, Darshini, Mahinder. Okay. Welcome, GV. Welcome, nice to see you. Banashri, Sunil, Manisha, Mamta, Gauri, and Neeraj. Super. Yeah, so those of you who've been here for the last half an hour, you might want to refresh your page so you know where we are. What do you mean you can't see me, Prasad? You want to refresh and also, change your resolution as well. So Suhas, Prabhakar, Rashi, Vikas, Arun, Chetan, Neha, Kavya, Sharath, and a lot more people who had joined earlier. Thank you so much. Can you also confirm if you're able to see me as well as hear me, because you need to be able to see the PPT, right? Prashanti is saying, I can only hear your voice, I can't see you. So if you can confirm you can do both, then we'll get started. So Neha, you were wrong, right? There's a famous cinema dialogue in Tamil. Leta vandalum latest varum. I don't know how many of you understand Tamil. So basically what it means is, even if we come late, we'll make sure, we come with the whatever is, latest in trend, or what's in fashion, or what's in vogue. Huh? So yes. Okay, great. So as usual, we're going to test your memory, right? I always keep saying this because we're learning a lot of new words. So let's quickly test your memory. So I'm going to give you an example as usual, and you're going to tell me the word. The last word. Chandra, I'm reading both TS platform chat as well as the YouTube chat. So it doesn't matter where you are. I'm watching both. Good eye practice for me. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Okay. So the last session, the word that we looked at was what was the word? How can I forget? Squawk, right? So this time I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you 2 characters. So tell me the word that is associated with them. Yeah. Kangana and Karan Johar. Do you remember the word? Tell me the word. My second language was Tamil, Prasad. So of course, I know Tamil. So tell me, I've given you 2 characters. We looked at a word which is associated with them. Let's see who's going to give me the word. Is it Kishore? Yes, Ayushi. Nepotism, right? Because that's the definition that Kangana gave Karan, the flag bearer of nepotism. Good. I like Mahata and Chinu and Sarika and whoever gave me the answer. Okay, so the other one, let's look at another one. I'll give you 2 example sentences for this, okay? The first one was, I gave an example of my 2-year-old son. I said, you know, he likes to splash in the water playfully. Okay, and I also, another meaning for that word is, I also said, what did I say? Something that you're not, you know, you're doing it half-hearted way. You're not serious in it, you're just doing it like a hobby. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Thank you, Vikas. But give me the word. I'll feel awesome too, along with looking. Dabble, yes, Vidya, good. Okay, somebody gave me the other synonym that we looked at. I forget who gave me. In fact, that was my follow-up question, right? The hyphenated word, which is a synonym of dabble. Somebody already gave me that, which is Gauri, dilly-dally. Right? That was another word that we looked at. Mahata, not babble. Babble is a completely different word. So dabble and dilly-dally. Those are the words that I was looking for. Good. I appreciate you remembering the words, which is extremely important, right? So we'll get started with today's session. You know the drill. And so we're going to look at all sorts of question types, right? Idioms and phrases, direct and indirect speech, active passive voice, synonyms, antonyms, spellings, fill in the blanks, cloze test. Exciting. Let's get to the PPT. So they're asking for an antonym of grotesque. Grotesque. Have you heard this word? Grotesque? Yes, no, maybe? No? Okay, so grotesque is nothing but, it's almost like, I mean, look at the options. It says, so antonym, yeah? Keep in mind, we're looking for the opposite of this word. Horrid, pleasing, appalling, and grisly. Horrid, pleasing, appalling, and grisly. In fact, if you, from the options, remember another thing that we can do, I gave this as a little, something that we were able to see as a pattern, but and I continue to see that. That's a surprising part. In all these 4 words, right, at least 3 of them are synonyms, and everything else is, and 1 word is just the opposite of that. What's horrid? Horrid is something dreadful, right? Something offensive, right? So maybe you saw some accident which was a very horrid, it was a horrid scene, right? It was a dreadful scene, something that you wouldn't have wanted to see in the first place, right? Pleasing, we all know, right? Something nice, something pleasant. Appalling, again, on the other hand, means something that is frightful, right? So the same horrid scene can be very frightening for some people. Grisly also means, something very gruesome, or causing some sort of a repugnance, right? So an accident scene like that, a horrid accident scene, can again cause you repugnance. So in fact, horrid, appalling, and grisly are almost like synonyms here. So the only word that is standing out is pleasing, and if you look at the antonym of grotesque, grotesque also means something that is very ugly, or bizarre, outlandish, like a distorted figure or image, right? That's the meaning of grotesque. Something ugly, so an accident scene that is dreadful can be an ugly scene, or something like a distorted figure or image. So in fact, there is some meaning with 1, 3, 4 option along with the given word grotesque. So obviously our antonym is pleasing. So at the cost of you not wanting to follow this pattern, but it seems like that's like the pattern that appears in these exams, don't you think? Yeah, you could say that, Anusha. Horrid is like horrible. Yes, right? Something horrid that happened, something that was horrible. So I don't want to promote this as a pattern, but the pattern is there. Like it's an uncontrollable factor. Let's see if we see the same pattern in other questions like antonyms and synonyms. Let's move to the next question. So the answer obviously is pleasing. We're looking for one word substitution, a trace or remnant of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. That's an appeal, Suhas, the meaning that you're giving. Pleasing is the answer, Vidya, for the last one. So we moved on to the second question, one word substitution, a trace or remnant of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. So here again, one word substitutions, you either know it or you don't know it. As simple as that. You can't break your head. You don't know it, don't waste time, move on. Yeah? Let's look at the options. Memento, variable, glimmer, vestige. So what's it going to be? Memento, not a very difficult word. I'm sure all of you know this word, right? It's like a souvenir. Something that serves as a reminder of what is past or gone. So definitely not the answer to our phrase that is there. Variable is something that can be changed, something that is changeable, something that is, inconsistent because it's changeable. Something that is unstable. So something that is changeable is unstable. Something that is changeable is not, variable is flexible, right? Glimmer. Glimmer can be, let me put this associated with words, okay? So I can say glimmer of hope. Whoops. Okay, what's happening? Let me erase this. Glimmer of hope, or I can say a glimmer of understanding. Or like if when you say that light is glimmering, it's almost like in these horror movies and all, they'll show you. It's usually the scene is there's a lift, it's dark, and there's one light that's flickering. So suddenly one time the light will be on, nobody will be there. The next time the light comes on, you'll see one cat, one black cat, or one just a silhouette or a figure of somebody standing there, right? These horror movies, ghost movies. So a glimmer of light means a flickering light, right? Something that's inconsistent. So that's not, again, the word that we were looking at, So I can say a dim or intermittent flicker. That's also glimmer. What's vestige? Let's put it in context. A vestige of truth, or vestige of doubt. Right? I'm just giving you associated words. Doubt spelling is looking incorrect here. Let me change that. D-O-U-B-T. Vestige of doubt. Vestige of truth. Vestige of doubt. So basically what you're saying, either we are referring to a small trace, mark, or an amount. Okay? So if somebody says there's no vestige of truth in what Neelab said, it means what you're saying, there's no trace of truth. So the answer is not memento, a trace or remnant of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. The answer is option 4. Yeah? Glimpse of the past, Arun. A glimpse means like a moment where you can just look into something, right? It's just a moment. A glimpse of the past. So that's a completely different word. Praveen, how can we remember them, ma'am? I don't know. See, glimmer, I am associating it with a horror movie. I'm associating with a horror movie scene where the light is flickering, glimmer of light, right? So like I said, this is the most common question that everybody asks. So how do I remember all the words? It's impossible for you to remember all the words. The only way I remember the words is to associate it with people and images and of course, read extensively. Every day you spend at least 15 minutes to 20 minutes reading the newspaper. Keep applying context clues, because every time it will be boring to keep referring to the dictionary, right? We can't do that. It's not like everybody is walking with a dictionary all the time. So, So, yeah, let's move on. So that's it. The answer is vestige, a trace or remnant of something disappearing or no longer exists. So, vestige of. So I've given you some associated words. Let's move on. The next question is spot the error. Okay, so read the context and tell me. Oops, sorry guys. Read the context and tell me if you are able to identify which part has the error and why. Sorry, somebody asked me, some Muskin is asking me a different question. Let me try and see if I can answer that. So basically he's asking what brashful means. So if somebody is brash, Muskin, which means they are inconsiderate of your feelings, right? So maybe they say, they look at you, they're looking at you after a while. They haven't seen you in a while and suddenly they say, oh my goodness, you've put on so much weight, Muskin. That's being a little brashful, because you're not restraining what you're saying, not being sensitive to how Muskin will feel. I'm not being sensitive to how Muskin will feel. I'm just saying what comes, without regard for consequences of how Muskin would feel if I said that, right? So being very inconsiderate. Okay, but my request is, please don't ask these random questions in between when we are discussing a specific question. It can be very, it takes away from the question that we are discussing, right? So that's my request. In fact, I shouldn't encourage that. So I'm not going to answer questions that are not part of the paper that we're discussing, okay? So hope you don't get offended. So most of you have come back and said option B, some of you are saying D, some of you, which is it no error? Let me go back to the question. She decided to drink water instead of soft drinks in order to lose weight. So A, I have all the options. A, B, nobody said C so far. So let's look at what the answer is. She decided to drink water instead of soft drinks in order to lose weight. So if I have to rephrase this sentence, I'll say in order to lose weight, she decided to drink water instead of soft drinks, right? So what's the big deal here? What error do you find in part A? She decided to drink. She decided to do something. The infinitive is fine as it is, 2 plus verb. She decided to drink what? Water instead of what? Soft drinks. In order to do what? Lose weight. So everything seems fine, right? Why do you want to look for an error when there is no error? Rajashekar, just because I said nobody said part C, you said, okay, let me say part C. So there's no error, guys. Please don't waste your time. Yeah. Instead of, you can have rice instead of potatoes. All good, right? Why don't you help instead of standing there and watching? Yeah, just giving you a context instead of is a preposition here, right? So no error, moving on, not wasting time. The next question type is a fill in the blank. He is so dashed in his beliefs that no one can change his mind. So you have fill in the blanks. We all know there's always clues in the context, right? Can you quickly identify the clue? If nobody can change someone's mind, that person has to be what? Vigorous, adamant, tough, or stiff. Right, the best way to figure out answers for fill in the blanks is Identify a clue phrase or a clue word in the context and ask questions. Yes, you can. The same examples that I gave, no, Richa? You can have rice. No, actually, in this context, it doesn't make sense. But as a verb, you can use. Yeah. So because you're saying, when you're saying that someone does rather than, doing something else. So yeah, you need to be very careful depending on what the context is. Yes, we have answers for this current question. Obviously, why is it option 3, Mahinder? Option 2. There is no option F, Prasanna. Or, sorry, Prashant. Yeah, adamant. So in case you're confused, right, some of you are giving me other options like tough and vigorous and stiff. In case you're confused, always associate these words with other words, right? If I have to use vigorous, I have let's say, so I say somebody is putting a vigorous effort, which means what? Full of vigor. Or I can say a vigorous performance. A vigorous performance means it was a very energetic performance, right? Tough. Associate tough with other words. A tough negotiator. You can have a tough day, a difficult day, or an unpleasant day. A tough negotiator, maybe this guy was very strong-minded, resolute, right? Well, you can have tough questions in the exam, right? Difficult to deal with. So these are not the meanings that the context is giving, right? So best thing to do is always put this in associated form collocations, basically. Stiff neck, which means maybe you got a catch. Stiff collar, the collar is not bending. A stiff fight, stubbornly maintained, right? So he is so stiff in his beliefs. No, beliefs is another clue word for you, apart from this phrase, right? So somebody who's so determined, strong-willed, very, very, very soaked in what he believes is obviously not going to change the way he thinks or acts just because you said something, right? And not necessarily for material, Arun. I gave other examples, right? Like a stiff neck or a stiff fight. So that's why it's important to know as many associated words because, we all know that in English, one word has different meanings in different contexts. I keep repeating this, yeah? So let's move on. Our answer is adamant. The next is idioms and phrases. Fixed in one's ways. It's almost like the words that we just saw, right? Adamant, stubborn. Good question, Anand. You have to read the newspaper every day. Right? When I say collocations, I'm basically talking about words that are used repeatedly, right, in different situations. So how will I be familiar with those words means you have to read. Only if I read, expand my reading ability or capacity, will I know more words. So fixed in one's ways, what are my options? Not wanting to change how one does things. One will succeed if one does not change their path. Trapped in a particular unpleasant situation, a dilemma of two different paths. Easy one, right? Prashant says option 1, Chaitanya says option 3. Why do we have two different options? Okay, Anusha, done. Why are we having different options? I have basically 1, 2 and 3. What is so difficult? Fixed in one's ways, what can it mean from the options? It cannot be, it has to be only one option, right? The options are very clear. What are your questions, Neha? Repost, because I'm looking at the screen, right? I might have not, I might have missed your questions. You're unwilling to change from your habitual way of doing things. That's when you're fixed in one's ways, right? So let's say if you are in the habit of drinking warm milk every day before you go to bed, right? That's a habit. That's like a fixed routine. Nobody can change that. Wherever you go, whether you go to your friend's place or your relative's place or you're traveling, whatever, this is something that you've been doing all your life and you will continue to do it, right? Which means you're very, that's a habit. That's your habit. That's what you do. Or every day in the morning, it's a habit that you have to read the newspaper, no matter what, right? So which means what can it be? One will succeed if one does not change their path? No. Trapped in a particular unpleasant situation doesn't make sense. A dilemma of two different paths? Absolutely not. It has to be one, no? It cannot be anything else. Not wanting to change how one does things. That's when they will be fixed in their ways. Right? What is so difficult to understand this? See, sometimes idioms and phrases, though they keep saying, you know, it's not literal in meaning. Don't look at how the meaning is as it is. It has an idiomatic way, but sometimes it's very easy. Fixed in one's ways means what? I like to do certain things certain way. I don't want to change it. That's why I'm fixed in this way, right? This is like, some of the idioms and phrases are helpful in the sense, without even coming in a context, it helps me decide from the options. So this is a very easy one, in fact, and I'm just surprised that most of you came back and gave me other options. Anyway, let's move on. Active passive voice, I'm sure by now you know the rules by heart. You should, that's my expectation. Let's look at the question. We will send you your laboratory reports as soon as they are ready. So I have 4 options. What can be the answer? Option 1, you would be sent your laboratory reports as soon as they will be ready. Your laboratory reports will be sent to you as soon as they are ready. You would be send your laboratory reports as soon as they will be ready. Your laboratory reports should be sent to you as soon as they are ready. Okay. So, what do you guys think? Ayushi, are you giving me the answer to the active passive voice? Tamarin as well? Yeah, I know Tamarin is giving me the answer to this because he's very quick in his responses. Jitendra, Mahata, yeah. What about the rest of you here? So I have Chaitanya, Spandana, Richa, Anushka, everybody giving me 2. Yes, okay, super. And that is your answer, right? We know this. Laboratory reports is my object, so that becomes my passive subject, and the only option that's starting with that is option 2 and option 4. If I have to choose between those 2, it will be, yes, same modal. That's it, option 2. Easy one. Let's move on. Sharath and Anand, not option 1, not option, any other options apart from 2. Will send, will be sent. That's it. That's the form. Antonym, we're looking at the opposite of procure. Not a very difficult word. Let's look at some quick context, right? You can procure. I'll put it here, then you tell me what the meaning of procure is, in case you don't know. To procure, let's say, what can I say? Secret documents. Secret documents, or who's this? Bala managed to procure a pass. You can, or let's say GV, what did he do? He procured a solution to a problem. So what is the meaning of procure from the options that I have given? Tell me the meaning of procure first. Naib is like, two. Guys, Remember, Nair, we want antonym and not synonym. Okay? So now tell me, what's the meaning of procure? Get. Yes, Ravi, right? To obtain, to get, to acquire. Get, obtain, acquire. Super. Now, let's look at our options. To forfeit, to appropriate, to solicit, and to wangle. Now, what's the meaning of forfeit? To forfeit something means what? Anybody? Give me some, you might know collocations yourself. You want to try some collocations? Yeah, most of you got the meaning of procure. We're moving on. Let's look at the options, right? So I have forfeit. You can forfeit a game. Let's say Raj, my famous character for examples. Raj forfeited our respect by telling lies, right? In this context, what does forfeit mean? Or let me put this in a context, right? If I say the other team did not show up or turn up in time, and so forfeited the game. I don't know why this, oops. I don't know why this line comes. Let me just make those corrections quickly. Respect and forfeited the game. So what's the meaning of forfeit? Yes, to basically to lose something, right? To give up. To lose, to give up. Okay. Appropriate means to appropriate. You can let's say you can appropriate some funds for higher education. Okay. So what does appropriate mean? I mean, there is more than one meaning. So I can say Kavya wore a dress that is appropriate to the occasion, which means that was suitable or fitting to the occasion. That's one meaning. The other meaning that I've given is you can appropriate funds for higher education. What does it mean? You can set up or save something for a specific reason, right? So you're setting apart something for a specific use. To set apart for specific use. Oops, sorry guys. So that's appropriate. To solicit, I'm sure most of you know this word as well. To solicit. Let me just give example sentences. Let's say Chandra. What did Chandra do? Chandra solicited the neighbors for donations. Chandra solicited the neighbors for donations. What is the meaning of solicited? Oops. Why did I do that? Strike the whole word out. What does it mean? Or I can say, you know, let's say a factory worker. So a candidate is soliciting the factory workers for some votes. Or he solicited votes among the factory workers. So what can that mean? To solicit means, again, you're obtaining something, right? You're trying to get something from the masses. Request, okay. Basically, yeah. Why request? Because you're almost like you're asking by permission. Yeah, it's almost like a, or not permission, more like a persuasion. So you're obtaining something to obtain something by formal application or persuasion, all of that, okay. And then wongle, I'm sure wongle is a new word. I'm sure you have no idea about this word. Wongle. So I want you to remember this word, okay, because definitely it will come as a test, your memory question for next session. So wongle is, I'll give you example sentences. So let me say somebody wongled a free ticket for you. Hey, all the tickets were sold out, so how come Suhas, you managed to wongle a ticket for me, right? So tell me, what do you think the meaning of wongle is? Or you can even get yourself a salary increase wongled. So what can yeah, so Richa is saying wongle means to get something by clever methods. Basically you're using underhanded methods, right? Instead of clever, it's more like, yes, trying to trick someone. It's like by hook or crook, huh? So climbing up the career ladder at work, or trying to trick someone to get your way, right? So that's wongle. Or the famous thing is when people are working, they want to take, they want to take an off, so they'll wongle themselves saying they're sick, but basically they'll go for a movie or something, yeah. So just to wongle themselves out of work. So wongle again. So we're looking at an antonym for procure. So out of the given options, what can be the antonym? It has to be, everything else is related to getting something done, right? Whether it's appropriate, solicit or wongle, it's all, you're acquiring something, you're getting something for yourself, whatever it is, you're obtaining something, which is the synonym almost, again, see the pattern? All three options, 2, 3 and 4, let's go back to the question. 2, 3, 4 is almost like synonym in meaning to the given word, and our only word that's sticking out is 4 feet, which is our answer, which is the antonym. Right? I'm not saying this, I'm not saying it's a pattern, but let's move on. Synonym of impassive. Do you know this word impassive? So imagine I start the session and I'm like this for like 5 minutes. So obviously all of you are going to wonder, what happened to Sylvia? What's wrong with her? I can't understand what's going on because there's no expression on her face, right? So impassive means expressionless, can't make out what's happening, not showing any feeling or emotion. So that's impassive, right? Expressionless. See, Suhas, I knew you will come back and say something like this, passive opposite. But please understand, though prefixes im and in and all means not, right? I'm going to give you examples because I don't want people to, just blindly follow certain rules, because unfortunately, English is a language full of exceptions. In fact, I keep saying this, the exceptions are more than the rules, actual rules. So let me give you an example. So if I say, see, impolite or immobile, if I look at these words, if I remove the common prefix im, it means impolite means not polite. Immobile means not mobile. Right? But not all the words that start with im means not. Yeah? Think of words, right? For example, immense. Right? Immense doesn't mean not mense, right? There's no word called, which means vast. Right? There are always exceptions. Imbecile. Right? So it doesn't mean not becile. Right? Imbecile means a fool. So there are always exceptions. So impassive is an exception like that. Okay. So I want you to be very clear with words and how they are used. So don't get carried away. Impassive means expressionless. In fact, it means passive, not passive. Now that we have an idea of impassive, what are the options? Ardent, reticent, agitated, susceptible. Okay, so let's look at words that get associated with ardent. For those of you who don't know the meaning of ardent, ardent love, ardent eyes. What do I mean by ardent love or lover? Ardent fever, ardent supporter. So ardent love means what? Passionate love. Ardent eyes means glowing eyes. Ardent fever means burning fever. Ardent supporter means again a passionate supporter. है ना? So is ardent my synonym of impassive? Can't be, no? Because it's giving me the meaning of passionate, glowing, burning. Passionate means you have to be extremely expressive. So obviously it can't be my synonym. Okay, let's move on. Reticent. So what's the meaning of reticent? So somebody who's very, who's pretty silent, reserved person, doesn't speak much, just to himself. Looks like our synonym for impassive, right? Reticent. So somebody who's very uncommunicative, reserved. Synonyms for reticent: quiet, silent. Oops. Sorry. Where did I go? Quiet, silent. Why is this jumping like this? That's it. Again, jump. Okay. So then we have agitated. We know this word. It's not a very difficult word. If you can get agitated for a lot of things, right? So let's say you receive some alarming news. You can get agitated, which means you can get upset. You can get disturbed, right? So yeah, agitate is nothing but to be anxious about something, to be concerned about something. So again, when you're anxious and when you're concerned and when you're upset and when you're disturbed, you're obviously going to be expressive. It cannot be the synonym of impassive. Agitated, anxious, X-I-O-U-S, anxious, concerned, distressed. So these are all emotions where you will be expressive. You cannot control your emotions. Susceptible means what? I'm very susceptible to cold, right? So there are certain people who are very susceptible to cold. Cold as in fever cold, right? What does that mean? They'll easily fall sick. So susceptible means prone to or inclined to, and usually susceptible word gets attached to the preposition to. That's a collocation for you to remember, especially for spot theory questions or even closed test blanks, right? To find the right word to fit the blank or find the part that has the error. So susceptible, easily influenced or affected. Right? And susceptible can also be, you can even be susceptible to flattery, right? Very responsive. If somebody pays you a compliment or somebody flatters you, you're very happy. You can be susceptible to flattery. You can be susceptible to injury, right? Maybe you're someone who's always getting hurt, prone to injury. So prone to, very, very receptive or sensitive. These are all. So obviously we are looking at a synonym, receptive to sensitive to something, yeah, that's all susceptible. So obviously our answer has to be reticent, option 2. Jadu and Banashri, yes, you guys are right. So is Spandana. I don't know if people have given me the answer option earlier. Mahinder, yes, you're right. So we're going to move on. So the idea is for us to not just, understand this is the answer, for us to also kind of keep expanding our vocabulary, right? That's the best part. Improve the bracketed part of the sentence. So we're looking at sentence improvement. I feel out for sorts today. Out for sorts today. So that's out for sorts is our highlighted phrase which is within the bracket. So what can it mean? Have you heard this expression? Options are off sort, out of sorts, no improvement. What's the answer? Why VK? Why you can't understand susceptible? Okay, for VK's sake, Ayushi and Jitendra, I know you've given me the answer for this, the current question that we're looking at, out of sorts. You're saying option 3. I don't know if anybody else has said option 3, but I just want to quickly explain susceptible with some example sentences for the sake of VK. Huh? We'll just go back for a bit. Okay, susceptible. Ready, VK? This is just for you. Exclusive. So let's look at some example sentences. So if I say walking with weights, walking with weights makes the shoulders susceptible to injury. What am I saying here? Susceptible mean very easily affected, right? That's what we saw. One of the meanings of that was. I am. This is my first example I gave. I am very susceptible. If somebody else, one of you guys also can give an example sentence with susceptible. I am very susceptible to cold. Easily affected. Give me an example sentence, Kishore, instead of giving the meaning. It's usually easier for us to retain the meaning if there is a context, right? If there's an example sentence. Is Shri Ram susceptible to what? Persuasion. Right? So maybe Shri Ram and his friends are deciding something, right? So they want to make sure. So one guy is asking another guy, you know, what do you think? Shri Ram is susceptible to persuasion, as in, can I easily influence Shri Ram to agree with this decision that we have made, right? So VK, are you following? I've just given you some example sentences. I'm sure you will, yeah, so VK says okay. Arunji, I'm so sorry I have to say this, because I understand, you know, we constantly have to keep reminding ourselves that we are not here exclusively learning. We're learning here with a group of people, right? Which means we need to be patient, because we're all learning together, which means we need to move forward together, right? So if somebody is asking a question, try and see if you can help, or be patient till I explain that. Let's move on. So this one, most of you have come back and said, Mahinder is susceptible to perfection, too much. Small children are very susceptible to injury while playing. Yes. India is susceptible to corruption. Oh no. Okay. Same for Anusha. So yes, we are in this question. Most of you came back and said option 3, which is the right answer, out of sorts, right? Out of sorts means what? In an irritable, grouchy or unhappy mood, not feeling well or in good spirits, right? So I can say, you know what, I think something's wrong with Anusha. She seems to be out of sorts today. Something is bugging her, basically, right? That's what I mean. So in the context, I feel out of sorts today. That's the expression. If you know the expression, obviously it's option 3 and you'll get the answer right. Direct, indirect speech. Let's look at our question. Are you coming with us? Isha asked Nishi. And the options are Isha out of sorts, out of sorts. S-O-R-T-S, Chandra. Isha asked, okay, coming back to this question. Isha asked Nisha whether she would be going with them. Isha asked Nisha if she was going with them. Isha asked Nisha whether she would go with them. Isha asked Nisha whether she would come with us. Okay. What's it going to be? Rajeshwari, are you giving me the option for the direct indirect speech question? You're saying option 3. Sarika Ayushi says option 2. Bala says option 4. What's it going to be? Vidya Rajan, Rocky, Banashri, everybody saying 2. Okay, Chandra, typing mistake, all right. Anushka says 1. Come on. Starting from Anushka, I have all the 4 options. Anushka says 1, Chaitanya says 4, Urvashi says 2, Arun says 3. Huh? So let's look at the so direct indirect speech, again there are rules, right? We just need to know the rules and that's it. If we have the rules, fine. So you are coming with us, right? You are coming. I just have to look at the tense. This is present continuous tense, right? Are coming. So present continuous tense, if I have to change it to past tense, what will it be? How will I change it to? From direct speech to indirect speech, if I have to change present continuous tense, what does it become? This is direct speech. So when I'm changing it to indirect speech, it becomes, okay, that's for last question. All right, Rajeshwari. It becomes past continuous tense, right? So if it's past continuous tense, which means ing form. So is 3 and 4 giving me ing form? No, so it can't be 3 and 4, no? I have to choose between 1 and 2. So between 1 and 2, what would it be? Isha, are you coming with us? Asked Nisha. Isha asked Nisha whether she would be going with them or if she was going with them. What's the answer? Yes, Richa. So what's the answer? ing is here, no? For 1 and 2. So if I have to choose between 1 and 2, what will I choose? Hello? Are you guys there? Yeah, just keep it simple, right? It's 2. If she was going with them, that's it. Isha asked Nisha if she was going with them. Okay? Alright, most of you got it right. And you would be correct. Just look up example sentences with present continuous tense changed into past continuous tense from, yes, from past continuous tense from direct to indirect speech. Okay? Pretty simple. The more example sentences you know, it'll be better for you. That way you won't end up making a mistake. You won't get confused unnecessarily. Yeah. So we're going to move on. We're going to look at the next one. Synonym of revamp. You know this word, right? Revamp, not a very difficult word. No, Bhavani, to answer your question. So, revamp, we all know. Yes, I'm assuming you know. Right? So the other day my friend came home and she said, hey, you know what, Sylvia? I think it's high time you revamped your kitchen. What does she mean by that? Revamp your kitchen. Make changes. Time to move things around, right? let it have a new look. So to revamp means we're talking about to fix something, to repair something, to mend it, change, restore. Right? So we're talking about if you need to fix something, fix it. Right? There's some patchwork needed in the wall, patch it up. Right? There's some repair work in your sink, finish that, get it right. Right? Revamp. Our options are overhaul. What's this word? Maraud. It's pronounced as maraud. And then I have to raise and to sabotage. I'm sure all these words are new for most of you guys. So what's to overhaul? So if I say, I had my car overhauled. I'm just going to give you example sentences so you will get back to me with what the meaning of these words are. Garage. I had my car overhauled at the garage. Tell me what the meaning of overhaul is. Maraud. Let's say mobs marauded around the city. What can it mean? Right? The clue word being mobs as well. To raise. Okay. Dozens of villages have been raised. Give me the meaning. To sabotage. Political sabotage, right? This is like a collocation, but I'll just give you a phrase. Political sabotage of government policy. Now tell me what the meaning of everything is. So Ayushi says overhauled means to maintain. So basically car maintenance, bike maintenance, giving it for service, right? Basically why? Because if there's anything that needs to get fixed, if there's anything that needs to get repaired, maybe the horn is not working, maybe the brakes are not, tight enough, whatever, right? So I understand overhaul also means to restore, to fix, to repair. And that's our synonym, that's our answer, in fact, overhaul. Maraud, on the other hand, means what? Mobs marauded around the city. What can it mean? Maraud means to loot, plunder, ransack. These all can be new words again for you. Plunder, loot, ransack, raid. Okay, just so you know the meaning. Dozens of villages have been razed, meaning demolished. Somebody gave me the answer. Ruined, destroyed. Ruin, destroy, yeah, tear down. Sabotage, political sabotage of government policies. Sabotage basically means, again, we're talking about, some sort of a disruption, at least in this context, right? Disruption, obstruction, interference, right? Not following what the policy is. Political sabotage means they're intervening unnecessarily and, changing things to suit their convenience. Ruining. Yeah? Okay. It can also mean destroy. Okay? Basically, if they do all this, it's a destruction. So our answer is overhaul. We're going to move forward. Correct spelling. Spellings. What do you mean, oh my God, I was wrong? It's almost like saying, I cannot be wrong. Okay, I appreciate your confidence though. Let's look at our options. Mistake, chimera, pleasure, and obituary. The only word probably I'm assuming that most of you will immediately know is option 3 and option 4, right? Pleasure, obviously I know A is missing. Obituary is our right answer, like Jitendra said and VK said that that's the right spelling, right? What about mystic? Mystic is with MYSTIQUE, right? That's the right spelling for mystic, which means we're talking about, imagine the word associated with mystery, right? An aura of mystery. So when you remember mystery, you know mystic has to start with MY and not MI. And chimera doesn't have double M's, it's just one M. Chimera. I mean, if you know the pronunciation or syllable breakup, then you'll know it doesn't have two M's. Pleasure, we already know, it's an easy word. Obituary, we know, right? It's a death notice, and that's how it's spelled. That's the correct spelling. Yeah? What's the exclusive comment? Madam, am I available on chat? Summer? Yes, you are. One word substitution: to trip or momentarily lose one's balance. Almost full. Options are to totter, stammer, stumble, blunder. Let's move a little faster, at a faster pace. You know, we already, what would I say, we couldn't start at 6, right? What do you think is the answer for the next one? One word substitution. So Arun asks, what's the meaning of aura? Aura is just the atmosphere, right? the quality, what's in the air, like the aura of something. Something that, you know, what's the atmosphere surrounding? The surrounding atmosphere, basically. That's the aura. Or it can, if you're referring to a person or something, it can be, you know, the character, the personality with which they come, you know, his or her aura, which means you're talking about personality, character, the aspect of that person. So, do we have answers to this? Yes, we do. Sunil and Sandhya says option 3, to stumble. 3 for sure. Anmol, yes, I agree. So to lose one's balance is to stumble, okay? What's to totter, stammer and blunder? Blunder, we know, mistake, right? Mostly an embarrassing one. Stammer, speech defect, right? I'm sure you might have come across people who stammer as well. So basically we're talking about somebody who stutters, you know, a speech impediment. Right? What's to totter? Have you heard of this word? Totter also means like shake, you know, or like falter or wobble. These are all other synonyms of totter. Or it can also mean something that is unstable. Oops, that's a bad. Unstable. To totter. Like if I say the property market is tottering, just to put in context. What am I meaning by this? I'm saying, hey boss, the property market is unstable. Okay, let's move on. So our answer is obviously stumble, we know that. The next one is again sentence improvement. An increase in instance of chain snatching has been reported in the newspapers recently. Not really, because they're specifically asking to trip or momentarily lose one's balance, almost fall, right? Stumble would be a closer and better option, because totter can also have different meanings, other meanings as well. We're talking about a momentary, at that moment. Yeah, I just gave you the difference, Richa. So when I say the property market is tottering, which means it's unstable and it can happen over a period of time. But that stumble, right, we're talking about in that moment he stumbled. Yeah, so it's more like a duration difference in terms of totter and stumble. Good question though. So, Arun, are you giving me the option for the sentence improvement question? You're saying option 3? So please understand, guys, this is, most of you will come back and give me option 2 because you're not paying attention to the subject verb agreement, right? Keep in mind, it's the same concept as subject verb agreement, right? An increase, which means we're talking about the subject in incidence of chain snatching, right? Which is a subject here. Which is the subject here? An increase is the subject, right? It's always confusing for most of us because we're looking at incidence as the subject. But remember, in subject verb agreement, don't get confused with the prepositional phrase, in incidence of chain snatching. So the subject is singular. An increase has been reported. An increase in what? In instance of chain snatching is additional information. So, which means no improvement. Okay? Not have been, not has been written. We're talking about newspapers, so reported would be a more appropriate option. And definitely not are. So, anything with plural verb, we'll need to quickly eliminate. Okay? And our answer is no improvement. So, this is a typical common mistake that most of them make with respect to subject verb agreement. You might miss out. So, keep this in mind. Sushil, R is again plural, no? It's not singular. Next, spot the error. You want to stay with him in spite of what he did. What's our answer? So, okay, just to clarify the subject verb agreement, let me give you some example sentences so everybody is clear, right? So, if I say the number of children in this school has increased greatly in recent years. So, in this example sentences, in this example sentence, right, the subject is still the number specifically, and it's denoting a singular entity, right? Of children is just additional information, prepositional phrase starting. So, don't get confused thinking that children is a subject. The number is a subject, that's why we have has and not have. Huh? Clear? So, this one, very easy one, as soon as you read it, you know the answer is in C, in spite of, right? How we wish all the questions were this easy in the exam, right? So, just wanted to quickly highlight something or point out something here. Some of you have the habit of writing this together like this, in spite of. Don't do that, that's incorrect. Okay, you need to leave some space in between in and spite and of. Okay, so this is the way you write it. This is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it if you club in and spite. So, in this context, earlier somebody asked me, right, a question, can we use despite? In this, let me give you an example. So, if I say, the air was clear and fresh in spite of all the traffic. Right? So here I can substitute in spite of for despite. The air was clear and fresh despite all the traffic. Same thing. You want to stay with him despite what he did. Right? I'm substituting in spite of to despite. And we all know there is nothing called despite of, right? This is another common error sort of a question that comes. Spot the error. So it's always only despite, because despite itself means in spite of. We know this, just wanted to reiterate it. So let's move on. Read one off. Okay. Fill in the blanks. I shall dash receipt of your email even if I cannot respond to it immediately. So just apply basic knowledge, basic logical sense, and identify the answer for this. Yes, Tamaran, Aishi, you guys are right. I shall. So even if I'm not able to, so maybe somebody sent me an email asking me for, answers to specific questions, or they want me to take some follow-up action, and I don't have the answers with me. But what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to say, hey, I received your mail. Let me get back to you within the next 24 hours, right? What am I doing there? I'm acknowledging the fact that I got your mail. So acknowledge would be the right answer, right? Definitely look at the other options. Endorse, ratify, and allow. What's to endorse? So let's say Kishore says something, and then I say, hey, I endorse Kishore's statement wholeheartedly. What do I mean by that? I support Kishore's statement wholeheartedly. So endorse is to either sanction or approve or support, right? That's not the word we need, right? We're not looking at support, we're not looking at sanction, we're not looking at approve, right? Ratify. To ratify something also means what? To confirm that if something is right or wrong, right? To agree with, again, not the right word. To confirm. And allow again is an unrelated word, right? To confirm, same meaning. Ratify also means to approve. Yeah, you're giving a formal sanction. To give formal sanction to something. So let's put it in context. Until whoops. Where are we? I'm hoping we're here. Okay, no. Okay, we're here. Maybe another 7-8 questions. I'm hoping we'll finish it in the next 15 minutes. Okay, where are we? Until all the countries, or until all of the countries ratify the treaty, the war will continue. So what are we saying here? Until all of the countries approve the treaty or give formal sanction to the treaty, the war will continue. Just to put it in an example sentence. Let's move on. Sentence jumbles, we know this. Let's do this. It may not be as simple. So I always keep saying this, right? For sentence jumbles, just look for collocations. This word has to go with this word. What's it going to be? Options QPR, PQR, RPQ, QRP. It may not be a simple someone, it may not be a simple by, it may not be a simple case. What sounds right out of those three options? Easy one. Yes, Ayushi. Option 3, right? It may not be a simple case of divide and rule. And you don't even have to read the entire sentence, because if you look at the options, there's only one option that starts with R, which is 3, RPQ. Yeah? Easy? Let's go. Yeah, simple case is your collocation, right? It may not be a simple case of divide and rule, but someone does stand to gain by keeping farmers divided, right? A classic example of divide and conquer. Next one, rewarding an encroacher on public what? Public reward, public site, public land. All of these seem like collocations, but then they have to make logical sense, right? So what can be the sequence? Who's an encroacher? Somebody who encroaches. What is the meaning of encroach then? To intrude, right? So rewarding an encroacher on public what? Aishi, again, correct? Yes. Rewarding so somebody who's intruding where? Somebody cannot intrude on public reward or public site maybe, but then public land, right? With free alternative site is like giving a reward to a pickpocket. Huh? So sometimes it's easier if you are able to understand the meaning of maybe, you know, new and unfamiliar words. Intruder. Where can the intruder intrude? Cannot be public reward. And what makes more sense in this context is public land, right? And that's option 4. Yeah. So rewarding an encroacher on public land with free alternative site is like giving a reward to a pickpocket. Not QRP boss, Neelab. See, because if you look at option 1, look at it. Rewarding an encroacher on public site is like giving a land with free alternative reward to a pick. No. And it definitely cannot be Naib option 3, rewarding an encroacher on public reward to a pickpocket. Not making sense, right? Anyway, correct spelling again. Corrode. If you know the word, if you know the syllable breakup, it's double R and not single R. So this is incorrect. It's not topology, it's topology, right? Again, if I know the syllable breakup, it's topology. Topology. So again, this is incorrect. What's the next word? Homogeny. Homogeny. Again, homogeny. In fact, I think, yeah. So the answer is option 3. And what about this one? Have you heard of this word? It's called protozoa. Protozoa, not tusa. All right, are you guys with me? So the right answer is option 3. Okay, we're going to move on. But I'm sure you know all this, right? Let's quickly understand the meaning. What's topology? So it's like saying a donut. You know a donut, right? I think there's one cream. I forget the name of the shop. One famous shop in Bangalore, which they opened recently in Chennai as well. So donut has a hole in between, and imagine a coffee cup or a tea cup, right? The handle, that's also a hole. So basically what topology is more like, where we're talking about, they are two distinct shapes, but they are equivalent because it's round and then there's a hole in it. So basically topology is nothing but the mathematical study of the geometric properties that are normally affected by either changes in the size or shape of the figures. Just so you know. Homogeny on the other hand is You've seen, I mean, if you're a botany student, donut house or Dunkin' Donuts, I don't know. So if you're a botany student, in the flower, in the petals, you have something called, I forget the scientific terms, stamen and something, okay. Anyway, basically what they're saying is, the little things inside the petals, you know, in between, there's a flower, and then there's, in the middle there'll be some parts, right? All of them are of equal size. So that's what homogamy basically means. The condition of similarity in length and location of all the stamens. Yeah, that's the word. Stamens and pistils. That's the word. I mean, I'm not good in drawing, but if I have to give you a picture, this is how it looks. Oops. Why is this happening? So it looks like this. Let me try my hand at drawing. You'll probably say, please don't attempt this ever again, Sylvia. Okay? And then you have these, parts. Okay? Going like this. Okay? This is the inside of the flower, all right? I mean, imagine it to be, even if it looks like something else. Okay, that's it. So imagine, and then let's put the petals so we don't get confused. That's it. Okay, so this is the flower, and we have all this. So basically, these are the petals, right? And this is called the stamen, and this thing is called the pistil. Okay, so basically the pistils and the stamens and the flowers, right? They're all of the same species, as in they're similar. So basically, let's just put it here. So they're all in the same height, same length, location. That's what it means. Protozoa. Protozoa are nothing but single-celled microorganisms, amoebas, blah, 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 blah. Let's move on. Let's not waste time. Idioms and phrases, flash in the pan. Options, a trick one learned which makes their work easier. A trick one learned which makes their work easier. A thing or person who's sudden but brief success is not repeated. To build something good but it gets destroyed. To find something unpleasant in food. Blah, blah, blah. Hi ma'am, I would like to ask about the documents we created. I have cleared the RBI officer. Okay, so let's take a moment here and congratulate Shivam. Good job. Thank you for letting us know. Get in touch with support. They will help you. Okay. I thought it was a really bad drawing. Yes, but I am a biology student. So where were we? Yes, can you give me the answer for the idioms and phrases? Flash in the pan, what can it mean, guys, from our options? Flash in the pan, flash in the pan. Just apply a little bit of logic. What do you think can be the answer? Let me give you some sadly, their success was just a flash in the pan. What can it mean? So let's say there are all these new artists that come up, right, in the pop music world. So they'll be like, they are mostly, some of them, end up like a flash in the pan, which means what? One hit song they'll have and that's it. Nobody remembers them after that. Or their popularity is short-lived, right? So from the given options, what can it mean? Yes, that does not last long. Why do you want to skip it? So it has to be option 2. Yes, a thing or person whose sudden but brief success is not repeated. Okay, so most of you got this right. We are in our last 5 minutes, I guess. We have one question type which is close passage. We'll quickly skim through that and then we're done. So let's go fast. Neeraj, not option 3. Okay, what do we do when it comes to close passage? We always skim. Let's skim. Since the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality is dash questioned by reporters, and since the deals dash routinely between reporter and privileged source to grant confidential dash are rarely monitored and supervised properly within the newsroom, the misuse of sources by journalists and what is dash damaging, the misuse of journalists and the news media by privileged sources dash epidemic proportions. So if I read the context, I know the context is negative in meaning. What are some of the words that are highlighting or helping me with it? Let's look at the words, right? So we're saying are rarely monitored, misuse of sources, damaging, misuse of journalists. So I have an idea now. Now let me look at my options. Let me look at the first option, right? Since the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality is dash, my options are rarely, ever, once, infinitely. What can it mean? Yes, Mahata, right? It has to be because these guys were not questioning it at all. That's why the problem is, right? And you have another clue, rarely monitored. Remember, I kept telling you that the context will also give you clues, right? Words that give you the same meaning. Rarely monitored, rarely questioned. That's why there is so much of misuse happening. That's why there is so much things that are getting damaged. It obviously has to be one and not the opposite of that word. Not infinitely. Infinitely means forever. It's an unrelated word, right? And not just once. It's not happening at all, or it's hardly happening. So the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality, so people don't want to know so and so published this, right? Being anonymous writers. Confidentiality, they want to keep certain things confidential, is rarely questioned by reporters. And since the deals, let's move on. Blank one is rarely, not option 4, which is quite the opposite, Spandana and Pravalika. Let's move on to second blank. So it's rarely questioned by reporters, and since the deals dash routinely between, and if you look at my options, everything is one word, but it's in different tense. So which means I have to identify what the general tense in the context is. What's the general tense in the context? I have option 1, strike, striked, striking, and struck. What can be the right answer here? What do you guys think? Since the where were we? Yeah, since the deals, what's your option? Priyatham says strike, Tamiran says strike. Are you sure? John, what is the general tense in the context, guys? Most of you are coming back and saying 1, Rajashekar, Sarika, Vidya. Santosh, are you saying 4? Option 4. Why? So basically everybody in TS says option 1. Are you sure? See guys, keep in mind we are talking about something that something that has happened earlier, right? GV, not really, no. Look at the context. It's saying, since the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality is rarely questioned by reporters. So which means this demand, they are talking about a context that has already done and over with, right? So, I mean, if you look at most of my verbs, right, they're all in past tense, ed. है ना? And striked is not the right word, right? It's not a regular verb, it's an irregular verb. So, which means the option or the past tense of that would be struck. Okay, and since the deals struck routinely between reporter and privileged source to grant so keep in mind the best way to identify the tense of the context is to just not go by is and all, is to look at also the logical context. What's happening? What's been explained in the context, right? Something has happened. The reporters were not questioning this. Yes, John, right? So the answer will be struck, because strike is an irregular verb. The past tense of strike is struck, not striked. Yeah? And we don't need the ing form. Moving on. Since the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality is rarely questioned by reporters, and since the deal struck routinely between reporter and privileged source to grant confidential what are rarely monitored? Options: dignity, pride, status, degree. What can be the answer? Yes, Satya, right? The answer for blank 3 is option 3, confidential status. Because we're talking about anonymity and confidentiality, we're looking at only the status of it, not pride or dignity or degree, which are unrated words in the context. Are rarely monitored and supervised properly within the newsroom. The misuse of sources by journalists, and what is dash damaging? And what is more so, more of, even more, even to? What can be the option? Yes, GV. And what is even more damaging? The misuse of journalists and the news media by privileged sources dash epidemic proportions. Assume, have assumed, so assume, being assumed. So imagine this, certain things have happened, and as a result of that, you see an action being taken, right? Now go back to the context, and what do you think can be the answer for the last blank? So I'm going to read the whole thing. Since the justification for the demand of anonymity and confidentiality is rarely questioned by reporters, and since the deals struck routinely between reporter and privileged source to grant confidential status are rarely monitored and supervised properly within the newsroom, the misuse of sources by journalists, and what is even more damaging, the misuse of journalists and the news media by privileged sources have assumed epidemic proportions, right? Option 2, have assumed epidemic proportions. So as a result of that, this is what has happened. I need the, yes, present perfect continuous tense. Very good, Satya. Not 3, not 4. Right, definitely not 1. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the session. It seems long today because remember we started about half an hour. We couldn't start at 6, right? So anyway, couple of you were asking what is the next session. It's happening on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. It'll either be quant or reasoning, so be there. And yeah, so continue practicing. I will see you guys next week. Until then, take care, and don't forget to be a part of the session that happens on Wednesday at 6. All right? All right, guys. Bye-bye.